turn our attention back to here in the UK, though, with the latest figures showing a huge month for supermarkets. Well, I don't think that's going to come as much a surprise to many people. More than a 20% increase in supermarket sales last month, according to Kantar. Shoppers spending an extra £1.9 billion stockpiling groceries in the run-up to the lockdown. Let's talk to Kate Hardcastle, who's a retail and consumer expert. Good morning to you, Kate.
Hi, good morning.
Hi. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised by that. A lot of people stocking up on the goods. I mean, a lot of people talking about it as panic buying. I think everyone thinks that everyone else is panic buying. They're just doing a sensible stockpile.
And I think overall that's actually what it was proven to be. Although we've got a lot more analysis to do, generally I think people bought about 10 to 15% extra. They did visit the supermarkets a lot more, particularly in that first week when we started to hear about the shelves being short in a lot of key items. So this report suggests up to 5 extra visits, which obviously put a lot of pressure then on the supplies, onto the supply chain. And then obvious items, for instance, when the pubs closed down, there was a peak in terms of beers and wines and spirits sales. So it makes sense that even if, because of the lean process of our supermarkets, even if it was a small amount that everyone uplifted by, that would be enough to put a strain on it. Now, I think we've probably seen the peak of the panic buying, the empty shelves. We've thankfully turned a curve on not sharing the images of the barren shelves anymore, which obviously itself fuels panic buying.
Yeah.
And we've got much more calmer controls in our supermarkets because we have to.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it's a much calmer atmosphere. People also perhaps have done the stocking up they felt they needed to do. And again, there are lots of people. I've got a lovely cupboard under the stairs. Got all my loo rolls in, and got my bleach and my Mr. Muscle for the bathroom. And we've got 2 or 3 of those routinely just in stock, ready to go, so I don't have to worry about buying all the heavy stuff when I do a regular weekly supermarket shop. Lots of people don't have the ability to, they don't have the space or the money to stock up. A lot of people, understandably, just wanted to make sure they've got supplies, not knowing when those supplies will be back in the stores and not knowing when they'd be allowed out to buy them.
Well, this is it. We've got the situation where supermarkets have obviously got contingency plans in place, but can't ever be sure what's going to be the challenge, how it's going to affect them, what items in the supply chain are going to have the problems with supply. And they've tried to react to it as well as be proactive with it. We've now seen much clearer communications about how they wanted to shop, limited quantity of any items that are reduced. Thankfully, given precedence to our NHS workers and key workers to go and get vital items they needed, because they were also victims of the panic buying, not being able to get those essential goods. And now, we've been asked very sensible things. If you don't need to use online shopping, please try and use your local store safely. Please make sure that you don't buy in excess. Please stay 2 meters apart. And we've started to see the introductions of the visors of the cashiers and the plastic screens, measures that I imagine are going to be in place for a long time to come. So this was a reaction to the peak that happened in terms of our shopping habits. I think people might see the figure and just think it's one financial win, but the cost of supermarkets will have incurred to create all these extra measures will have been significant, and their promise was simple: try and feed the nation. And we're seeing much more cross-collaboration of these big brands actually working together and sharing workforces now. Yeah,
which is, again, that they had to actually change the law to allow them to do that. Otherwise, that would be against the law, like they were conniving together. But again, a lot of our supermarket bosses have been saying in recent weeks they're dealing with the level of extra spending you would see for the whole month of December, when, of course, they've got the whole year to prepare for it. They know to get those extra supplies in. They know to prepare those extra shift workers and the like, and they've had to do it at pretty much no notice whatsoever in a matter of days. And actually, I think generally I've done a very good job. I've only been out to the supermarket once in the last 2 weeks. I'm going to have to do another one today because we're down to the last half pint of milk, and pretty much empty fridge now. But certainly last week, other than loo roll and barely any biscuits on the shelves or crisps, pretty much there was everything I needed to buy.
And that's it. We're going to have to be very adapting in terms of how we shop, what we cook, use the recipe books, be resourceful. Yeah. Some of these tips, if you are well enough to get through this, if you are able to be positive about it, you are going to learn tips and things that you are probably never going to have the chance to have taken the time to learn in your lifetime. You're going to learn budgeting. You're going to learn portion control. You're going to learn how to you'd be adapting to what you've got in your fridge and your freezer, and to be able to make things out of it. These are good skills to learn in terms of budgeting going forward. But
absolutely. Can I just say, certainly in my local supermarket, if you want aubergines, a lot of aubergines last week. I say people seem to be stockpiling a lot of the comfort food rather than the healthy veg. That's for sure. But perhaps we're going to have to learn to cook with a few more of those healthy ingredients. Kate Hardcastle, retail and consumer expert. Thank you very much for joining me. 9:17 is the time.